Niall Ferguson, Empire, The Rise and Demise of the British World Order and the Lessons for Global Power. Delve into the captivating story of the British Empire, a complex historical entity that, despite its controversial actions, brought about significant changes to the world. In Empire, The Rise and Demise of the British World Order and the Lessons for Global Power by Niall Ferguson, you'll explore the origins, expansion, and eventual fall of the empire. This book examines the economic, political, and social effects of British rule on colonies across the globe, as well as the paradox of liberty and inequality entrenched within the empire. Understand how Britain's era of imperialism shaped the world we know today, and reflect on the legacies and lessons of this once dominant world power.
The good and the bad of the British Empire. The British Empire was renowned for its racist brutality and profiteering, but it also brought democratic and free market principles to its colonies. The empire's goal was to duplicate the success of the much larger Spanish and Portuguese empires. Britain's earliest imperialists were driven partially by the search for gold and silver. By tapping into the British love of sugary food, Welsh pirate Henry Morgan helped spark a wave of demand for consumer products. Britain's empire building brought valuable benefits such as liberty, democracy, and free trade to countries around the globe. Britain's export, people and paradoxes. Britain's colonization of America, Canada, Australia, and New Zealand export was people, and their greatest commodity was racism. Promising religious freedom, free land, and using exiling as a means to satisfy prison sentences or pay off debts, Britain's first settlement experiment started in Northern Ireland. English and Scottish settlers took land already held by the Irish, and the Protestant settlers largely excluded the Catholic natives from the fruits of their plantations, leading to centuries of violence and hostility. With no sympathy for the native populations, Britain's decimation of whole populations through disease and weapons is how white men replaced North America's indigenous people with Europeans and Africans. The British preached liberty, but it did not apply to the people living in colonized nations. The Brits claimed nobody's land, arguing that indigenous people didn't have the right to their land. Racism became a dominant theme of the British Empire, sensing their superiority to all other races, from the Irish to the Indians, Native Americans, and Africans. The British Empire and its colonial policies. The British Empire's history is marked by contradictions between its ideals of liberty and equality and its ruthless policies towards non-white subjects. The empire pursued racial equality by outlawing slavery in 1807, but its moral disconnect led to atrocities like the 1857 Indian Mutiny. The East India Company governed India for profit, resulting in a complex subcontinent ruled by an elite minority of Brits detached from Indian life. Although the Brits invested heavily in India's infrastructure and health care, they heavily taxed their subjects for profit. Ultimately, their imperialism led to India's independence and a continent-wide inheritance of dispossession and slaughter. The costly demise of the British Empire. This compelling passage discusses the fall of the British Empire, revealing that the empire's collapse resulted not only from uprisings against imperialism but also from the financial toll of waging two massive wars. The passage highlights the Boer War, during which the British mistreated white settlers who defied their rule, and how this led to a new era of liberalism in Britain. This shift to the left resulted in a weaker military, a factor that proved costly in both World War I and II. Additionally, the passage examines the economic logic that underpinned the empire's early success and how the financial devastation caused by World War II ultimately dissolved it. While some attribute the end of the empire to uprisings against imperialism, the passage argues that it was the result of both financial and psychological costs.
The history of the British Empire is a testament to the complexities and contradictions of global influence. While it brought about significant improvements in infrastructure, trade, and the spread of democratic values, the empire also fueled racial inequality and exploitation. Confronted with two world wars and the financial strain they brought, The empire slowly succumbed to the mounting costs of maintaining control and military prowess. Ultimately, the decline of the British Empire was not primarily a result of anti-colonial revolts, but rather the economic and political burdens of engaging in global conflicts. Empire highlights the importance of analyzing history to understand the impact of such powerful forces on contemporary society, and to glean essential lessons for the future.